Why women ignore you when they're deeply in love. She doesn't ignore you because she's lost interest. She ignores you because she's terrified of how much she feels. One day, she laughs at your messages. The next, silence. You start to question everything. Did I say something wrong? Did I lose her? But the Stoics would tell you, silence is not always rejection. Sometimes it's a woman fighting herself, torn between the comfort of love and the fear of losing control. In this video, we'll uncover why her distance often means she cares more than she dares to admit, and how a Stoic man responds, not with panic, but with power. Her emotions scare her. When a woman truly begins to fall in love, something inside her starts to tremble, not from weakness, but from the overwhelming intensity of what she feels. At first, she may have seemed effortless, confident, charming, in control, but the moment her heart begins to attach, she starts to lose that control. Suddenly, every message from you matters too much. Every delay in your response cuts too deep. Every quiet moment feels like a storm inside her mind. And that's when fear begins to whisper. She fears losing herself in you. She fears being vulnerable again. She fears that this love, like the last, might end in pain. So instead of running toward you, she retreats. She tells herself she just needs space. But what she's really doing is trying to regain balance. Because love, to her, feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. Beautiful, yes, but dangerously close to falling. To a man, this silence feels like rejection. To her, it's protection. But the Stoics teach us something powerful here. You can't control her emotions. You can only control your reaction. When she pulls away, the weak man panics. He sends long messages, questions himself, tries to fix what was never broken. But the Stoic man, he doesn't chase. He understands that true connection is not built through pressure, but through peace. He knows that love, like fire, needs space to breathe. So instead of demanding answers, he gives her time. Instead of feeding fear, he offers stability, silently, through his calm presence. In that stillness, something shifts. She begins to feel safe again, because nothing makes a woman trust her feelings more than a man who can hold his own emotions steady while she loses hers. The truth is, her silence is not the enemy. It's the test before the trust. And how you respond defines what happens next. If you panic, you confirm her fear that love means losing control. If you remain calm, you become the proof that love can feel safe again. That's the paradox. When she ignores you, she's not pushing you away. She's trying to find her footing in a world that suddenly feels too vulnerable. And when she sees you standing firm, not chasing, not doubting, just being, she begins to return. Not because you demanded it, but because you represented peace. That's when something deeper begins to form. Respect. And that respect becomes the foundation for the next test. The one she doesn't plan, but every woman eventually gives. She tests your emotional strength. When a woman feels something real, she doesn't always celebrate it. She questions it. And in that questioning, she often begins to test you, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. She wants to know if your calm is real or just a mask. If your confidence stands when the ground shakes, if your affection has roots, or if it's just a performance waiting to crumble when things get quiet. So she pulls away, not completely, but just enough to watch your reaction. She stops replying right away. She delays her responses. She becomes a little colder, more distant, less predictable, and she waits. This isn't about manipulation, it's about emotional truth. Because words can be rehearsed, but reactions cannot. How you respond when she withdraws reveals more about your soul than any poem, compliment, or promise ever could. A man ruled by emotion will fall apart. He'll text endlessly, replay every conversation in his head, and turn her silence into an obsession. But the Stoic man, he stays grounded. He doesn't try to win her back. He doesn't interpret distance as disaster. He understands that if something is real, it doesn't need to be forced. To a Stoic, emotional strength isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's the ability to remain calm when uncertainty tries to shake you. It's knowing that love should never make you lose your center. When she sees you steady, not detached, but composed, she feels something powerful: trust. Because deep down, she doesn't want a man who collapses under emotional pressure. She wants a man who can stay still in the storm and remind her through his presence that not every wave means danger. And here's the paradox: her silence is not meant to hurt you. It's meant to reveal you, to show whether your affection comes from ego or essence. If your peace depends on her attention, you fail the test. If your peace comes from within, you pass, without even knowing there was an exam. So when she goes quiet, don't rush to fill the silence. Let her see that your calm isn't performance, it's principle. That your emotions don't sway with her mood, but rest on something unshakable: discipline and self-awareness. Because once she realizes she can't break your balance, she begins to relax. The tension dissolves, the tests stop. She starts to feel safe again, not because you said the right thing, but because you didn't lose yourself trying to please her. And in that moment, something changes. Her fear fades. Her respect deepens. She starts to see you not as someone she can control, but as someone she can trust. And yet, even as her trust grows, a new fear begins to rise. The fear of depending on you too much. The very closeness she once desired now threatens her sense of independence, and that's when she begins to pull back again. Not to test your strength, but to prove her own. There comes a point in every woman's heart when affection starts to scare her. Not because she doubts you, but because she doubts herself. She begins to feel the pull, the craving to hear your voice, to know where you are, to feel connected to you. And suddenly, that feeling of dependence doesn't feel romantic anymore. It feels like a threat. Because deep inside, she's been taught that needing someone is dangerous, that the moment she depends, she loses power. That love makes women weak, emotional, vulnerable, everything she promised herself she'd never be again. So she resists, not because she wants to leave you, but because she wants to keep herself. She'll pull away, not with anger, but with quiet distance. Her messages become shorter, her warmth fades. You'll feel her retreat, not in words, but in the silence between them. And this is where many men fail the Stoic test. They interpret her withdrawal as rejection and rush to fix it. Chasing, apologizing, over-explaining, begging for reassurance. But every time you chase, you confirm her worst fear, that she really does have power over you, that her presence controls your peace. And once she feels that, she can no longer relax into the connection. You see, the Stoics taught that love should never make a man lose his center. Epictetus said, "Attach yourself to what you can control, your mind, your virtue, your actions, and let go of the rest." When she steps back, it's your cue to step inward, not forward. Instead of chasing her, return to your mission. Let your silence speak your stability. Because when you stand firm, you send a message louder than words. I want you, but I don't need you to be whole. And that's the paradox she can't resist. A man who doesn't lose himself for love becomes the safest place for love to exist. When she realizes you won't fall apart without her, her fear softens. Dependence no longer feels like a trap. It starts to feel like trust. Because now, being close to you doesn't mean losing herself. It means finding peace in someone who stands firm. But not every woman can reach that clarity quickly. Some carry wounds that run deep, scars from promises broken, from men who swore loyalty but vanished when things got real. So even when she starts to trust you, another voice inside whispers, "He's too calm, too good, too stable. Maybe this isn't real." And that's when her heart retreats again, not from pride, but from disbelief. The closer she feels to you, the louder her fear becomes, that you might be too good to be true. There's a strange moment in every deep connection, when love begins to feel too safe, too perfect, too balanced. And for a woman who's been hurt before, that comfort doesn't bring peace. It awakens suspicion. She looks at you, steady, kind, grounded, and a whisper rises in her mind. No man can really be like this. He must be hiding something. You see, the deeper her feelings grow, the more her past begins to speak. Every betrayal, every lie, every disappointment, they gather like shadows behind your kindness, whispering that it's only a matter of time before you reveal yourself as just another illusion. She doesn't want to doubt you. She wants to believe. But belief for her has always come with a price, and she's paid it before. So instead of falling deeper, she pulls away, not because you did anything wrong, but because your steadiness threatens everything she thought she knew about love. A man who doesn't play games, a man who doesn't flinch under silence, a man who stays calm when most would beg. That kind of man doesn't fit the story her pain has written, so she starts to test it. She becomes colder, less available. She waits longer to reply, just to see if you'll panic, if you'll reveal a hidden weakness that makes you human again. Because if you react, she feels safe. Her worldview stays intact. But if you stay calm, if you remain kind yet unmoved, she faces something terrifying, the possibility that not every man is a liar. That maybe, just maybe, real love doesn't always come with chaos. And that realization is terrifying, because now she has something real to lose. Her distance isn't rejection, it's self-preservation. She's trying to prepare for the heartbreak she believes is inevitable. And in that preparation, she becomes the very thing she fears, the one who pushes away love before it has the chance to hurt her. But this is where the Stoic man stands apart. He doesn't chase validation, and he doesn't fight her fear. He understands that trust cannot be demanded. It must be earned through consistency. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not true, do not say it. If it is not right, do not do it." So he simply continues to live his truth. He lets time, not words, prove him right. He doesn't try to fix her doubt because he knows the calmest answer is patience. And with time, she begins to notice. He never used charm to control her. He never turned her fear into leverage. He just kept showing up, still, strong, steady. That's when the wall starts to crack. That's when her heart whispers, "Maybe I was wrong." But before she lets that wall fully fall, she needs one more sign. One last test to know if your calm is real or just restraint. She wants to see if you'll chase, not because she wants you to, but because she needs to know that you won't. There's a moment every woman creates, consciously or not. A quiet test that defines everything. She steps back. She withdraws. Her tone cools. Her replies slow. Her presence fades. Not because she's done with you, but because she wants to see what you'll do when she disappears. This is the point where most men fail. They take the silence as a wound, and their ego bleeds all over the floor. They start chasing, messaging more, explaining more, begging more, trying to pull her back before she's even ready to be close again. But every text sent in panic says one thing: I can't handle uncertainty. And that's the moment attraction dies. You see, she doesn't want you to chase her. She wants to see that you won't. Because to a woman, your reaction to distance reveals your depth more than your reaction to affection ever could. When she steps back, she's not asking you to prove your love. She's asking you to prove your composure. A Stoic man understands this. He doesn't fight her withdrawal, he respects it. He knows that love built on pressure collapses, but love built on peace endures. So instead of chasing, he pauses. He breathes. He stays rooted in his purpose. He lets his silence do what his words cannot, show her that his stability is not negotiable. Because the man who doesn't chase becomes the man she can't forget. Not because of what he said, but because of what he didn't say. He didn't plead. He didn't demand answers. He didn't crumble when the attention stopped. He remained unmoved, not from pride, but from understanding. And as she watches that, her curiosity starts to burn. Because women aren't drawn to control, they're drawn to mystery. And nothing is more mysterious than a man who stays calm when most would panic. She begins to wonder, why isn't he chasing me? Has he lost interest? Or is he simply beyond my reach? That uncertainty flips the script. Now she's the one reflecting, the one questioning, the one feeling the weight of the silence. And that's when something subtle shifts. She starts to miss the steadiness she once doubted. She starts to realize that your absence isn't punishment, it's discipline. And discipline is what earns respect. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what she feels in you, not dominance, but mastery. You're not ignoring her, you're honoring yourself. And in doing so, you give her space to rediscover her own feelings, to reflect without the noise of your need for reassurance. Because sometimes her silence isn't a weapon, it's a mirror, and your reaction determines what she'll see in it. If you stay calm, she sees strength. If you panic, she sees weakness. If you stand firm, she feels safe enough to return. And when she does, it's not because you chased, but because you didn't need to. Yet sometimes her silence has nothing to do with you at all. It's not a test, it's a storm, one she's fighting inside her own mind. And that's where the next truth begins. Sometimes her silence has nothing to do with you. It's not a test, it's not punishment, it's a storm she's fighting alone, inside her mind. You see, not every withdrawal is rejection. Sometimes it's reflection. She's not ignoring you. She's trying to make sense of the chaos inside her. Maybe it's the pressure of work, family expectations, or an old heartbreak resurfacing in the quiet moments. Maybe she's realizing that love has stirred emotions she buried long ago, fears, insecurities, hopes she thought she'd outgrown. And suddenly, you become the mirror reflecting all of it back to her. That's what scares her, because being seen, truly seen, can feel like exposure. You see her softness, her cracks, her unspoken doubts, and instead of feeling cherished, she feels vulnerable. So she pulls away, not because you failed her, but because she's trying to protect the only thing she still controls, her inner balance. And this is where the Stoic man must understand the subtle difference between empathy and interference. To fix her is to lose her. To understand her without trying to rescue her, that's where real strength lies. The Stoics taught, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. That means when she's struggling, your duty is not to demand explanations or chase answers, but to embody calmness, so solid that she can find safety just by your presence. While her mind spins in uncertainty, you remain the stillness that reminds her, not everything is chaos. You listen without judgment. You give space without retreating. You remain near but not needy, because her silence isn't an invitation to panic. It's an opportunity for you to demonstrate what Stoicism truly means, that your peace is not shaken by another person's storm. She might disappear for a while, emotionally or even physically. She might need days to breathe, to think, to face what she's feeling. And the insecure man will take that time as abandonment. But the Stoic man will see it for what it is, a reset, not an ending. When she feels ready, she'll return. not to the same man she left, but to a man who never lost himself while she was gone. And that quiet strength will speak louder than any "I miss you" ever could. Because love, when guided by calm understanding, doesn't demand. It respects timing. It respects process. It respects the humanity of the other person. And as she begins to understand her own emotions, as the fog clears and she starts to breathe again, she'll realize something profound, that your stillness wasn't indifference, it was safety. And yet, sometimes even safety feels dangerous, because to feel safe means she's opening up again, allowing herself to fall, and to possibly be hurt. That's when the final fear awakens, the fear of falling too deep. There's a quiet kind of fear that only appears when love starts to feel real. It's not the fear of losing you, it's the fear of losing herself in you. For a woman who's known pain, closeness feels dangerous, because love to her isn't just joy, it's risk. Every heartbeat reminds her of the last time she trusted, the last time she fell, and how hard it was to rise again. So when she starts to feel something deep, deeper than logic, deeper than her defenses, her instinct is not to surrender, but to retreat. It's her mind's way of whispering, "Don't go too far. You might not survive it this time." You'll notice it not through anger, but through absence. The warmth cools, the messages fade, the conversations shorten, not because the love is gone, but because the emotions are too strong. She's not trying to punish you, she's trying to protect herself from the intensity of what she feels. And here lies the paradox. The deeper she loves, the more distant she becomes. The more she cares, the more she hides. Because in her world, vulnerability once equaled pain, and now you've become the reminder of both. But the Stoic man doesn't take her distance personally. He understands that love is not ownership, it's allowance. He knows that the only love worth keeping is the one given freely, not forced out of fear. He doesn't chase. He doesn't accuse. He doesn't demand clarity when she's not ready to speak. He simply remains grounded, patient, and quietly unshakable. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." This is your adversity, the test of restraint. To stay composed when her silence echoes loudest, to love without possession, to care without control. Because when a woman pulls back out of fear, she's not looking for a man who drags her out of hiding. She's hoping for a man who waits with warmth until she realizes she no longer needs to hide. And when she does, when she finally breathes again, she'll return, not because you begged, but because your calm became the only place her fear couldn't touch. You see, the Stoic man doesn't fight for love. He creates space for it to return. He doesn't panic when connection fades because he understands that real love is not built through constant contact, but through constant presence, even in absence. So when she distances herself, let her wrestle with her emotions. Let her find her balance, because if the bond is real, she will come back, not to the noise, but to the peace. And when she does, she won't be running from love anymore. She'll be walking toward it, calm, sure, and free. And that is when her silence finally makes sense, not as rejection, not as a test, but as the journey she needed to take, to meet a man who never lost himself waiting for her. And that's where our lesson ends, with you, the Stoic man, who no longer fears silence because he understands it. When she pulls away, don't chase her shadow. When she falls silent, don't fill the void with noise. Stand still, breathe, because the man who remains calm when the world withdraws, that's the man a woman eventually trusts to stay. Remember, love doesn't always ask for pursuit. Sometimes it asks for peace. Be the calm she can return to, not the chaos she escapes from. That is Stoicism in love, to hold your center even when the heart trembles. And if this message spoke to you, walk with it and share it so more men can learn that silence isn't rejection, it's revelation.